Welcome, one and all, to Eromanga-sensei Every Week, a podcast in which I, Digibro, am joined by the best guy ever.
Hey guys, what's going on? Hope you enjoyed the greatest anime I've ever seen this week.
The concept of this show is that I basically looked at the My Anime List chart and chose the most middle-of-the-road looking, innocuous anime that will be popular.
Let me tell you, brother, you nailed it. You nailed it. Way to go.
And the idea is we will see how much conversation we can wring out of this show week after week. We'll watch every episode of it because, we always do shows like this. If we talked about this on the Weebcast or something, we'd cover the first episode, we'd rant about it for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then we never hear from it again. And granted, you always have the most to say about the first episode because that's where they're introducing the premise and all that. But, I want to take our audience through the experience of what it's like for a couple of hard-ass critics to watch a middle-of-the-road anime all the way through. To just chronicle every little emotion and thing that we experience on our way.
I'm really excited about it because, like you said, you and I could talk for hours, I think, about this first episode with little difficulty. Yeah. We could do it. But when you get into that, episode, episode 8, episode 9, when you get to that point, that's when the real grind begins, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to see if it can be done. If this series turns out to be great, maybe we'll do it for another show next season. But if this turns out to be like a total wash, then we'll quit. But for this episode, we certainly will have plenty to say.
No doubt.
Nate, I know that you have baggage with this series going in. Tell me about what baggage do you have with this?
Well, I didn't do any research at all other than what you told me. So is this written by the same guy as Oreimo, or is it just the art's the same? Yeah.
The same original artist and author. So the whole team who produced the Ore no Imoto light novels.
Oh my god! Went on the fucking Gold Star cast is back. Fuck yeah!
To produce Eromanga-sensei.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I just know that you have strong feelings about Ore no Imoto.
I have very strong feelings about Oreimo, and one day I will bring them all fully articulated to the world. But for our purposes today, this feels identical to that show. In that, I mean, the main character is essentially the same guy with a slightly different sort of motivation. This guy actually has a motivation, whereas the guy in Oreimo had no motivation at all. He was kind of a wayward spirit, which was kind of part of his character, I guess. It's the same shit. Like, there's one girl, the brother is in love with her, obviously, and that's it. That's what happens. And then they have there's one element that's going on that makes them so wacky, and they're getting into shenanigans together. And I have very little doubt that it will not be able to carry my interest through the entire series, and it'll be up to me to
carry my interest through the first episode.
When it got to that second half, dude, that was a slog.
This episode, all right. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This is literally Ore no Imoto.
It's the same thing.
This is the same show. Like, for what it's worth, in fucking Oreimo, the sister Kirino was in fact a light novelist.
Yep.
She wrote a light novel. And now we've got a brother and sister who are both light novelists, but the structure of this episode is identical to the first episode of Oreimo.
The outside the room thing, like knocking and like never seeing her, having no contact with her, but like missing her intensely. It's the same goddamn show.
She's got a secret. She has some. It's a little sister who's got some kind of mysterious secret that she's keeping from her brother, and they haven't really had contact in the last few years. They've grown apart, but then he discovers her secret, and they have a long ass conversation about it.
Yep.
There's some kind of hint at maybe a little bit more emotionally going on, and then she kicks him out of her room.
Hint. I call that a throbbing boner in this guy's pants from the moment he laid eyes on her. Dude, when that first episode, when he locks eyes on this girl for the first time, the blush, the music, there was clear sexual chemistry going on in this guy's brain, no doubt about it. This child was put on display for all of us, and it was wonderful. 10 out of 10.
There's the level. Oh man, I've got so many questions about this show that we're gonna have to get through.
I saw those classic A1 moments all over the place. The fucking poses and it was glorious.
All right, we got to start from the beginning. I took my notes chronologically, so I have to go through this because otherwise I'm just staring at this mass of barely legible handwriting.
Works for me. Dude, can I say the first thing that happens? Because the first thing that happens is the most fascinating thing that happens, and it is literally the number one thing that happens when you start the episode. The first thing they do is establish that these brother and sister are not blood related.
Brother and
not
sister,
blood. We're safe. It's an open lane, boys. They're waving him in. They're waving him in. It's all good, brother.
Usually
wonderful.
we get a little ways into the show before we find out. Oh yeah, by the way, didn't that happen later in Imo? Did it turn out that they weren't blood related or something?
Oh god, it's complex because it's different in the manga versus the show, and I think in the show it was not implied that they were not blood related. I think that they were, but in the manga, that's where they introduced some complexity. Oh no, it's the opposite of that, isn't it? In the manga,
what about the light novel? Because it's originally a light novel.
Oh, I don't fucking know. I'm pretty sure in the anime though, there was some what's the word? There was some doubt as to whether or not they were actually blood related to give you the excuse to want them to fuck.
Because that's the thing about this whole the little sisters genre, right? It's always a not blood related sister,
right?
Because I mean, understandably, I get it. You don't really want to fuck your sister. You just want to fuck the concept of a sister,
right?
However, it's also bullshit, and it's such a just pussyfooting around the issue,
Yeah.
Just fuck your sister. Just do it. Just fuck the sister.
Does
anime...
This
is a cartoon.
Yeah. Does anime take the stance that it is not okay to ever fuck your sister? I just want to know. if anime allows that.
There's a few anime with real incest in them,
right?
And I just don't get why. Why stop? Why stop there? Why stop halfway?
It's already not real. Do whatever the fuck you want.
And in this particular show, they're not even really there's nothing there. They met once.
Yep.
She got adopted into the family, and then their parents died, and she became a hikikomori. I think are both their parents dead, or is one of them just not there for some reason?
Okay, we know the mom is dead, and I think the dad is dead too. That wasn't as clear.
Yeah, but so they met once, and all of it's just an excuse for her to call him Oni-chan. But they're hardly. They don't even fucking know each other.
No. You're underestimating. Okay, finish your point.
Most of the appeal of Little Sisters isn't here. To me, the idea of the little sister character, even if she's not blood related, is that it's someone who's admired you and been close to you your whole life. That's the point.
Well, you know what?
Is that it's someone who...
You're overthinking it, because we, as the audience, are bringing in when we hear there's a little sister character, we bring in our own baggage as to what gets us off about little sister characters. And that's all you need to say, is that she's the little sister, and, I want to fuck that.
I know, but to then deflate, it's one thing if you just tell me she's a little sister and I can bring all those assumptions, but this show makes it explicitly clear that she's not a little sister by any sense of the definition.
That's where you're underestimating the amount of chemistry that can be formed by fucking banging on the fucking floor to say, "Where's my goddamn food, you piece of shit brother?" You're underestimating the bond that they formed over the fucking year of, this is their relationship. This is how they know each other. It's wonderful.
Oh, I have so many questions about that, but I gotta wait.
I've seen that shit before. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so first, the banging on the floor thing I could totally buy into. I've seen that. I know Maddox fucking did that to get his soup and correspondence from his mom growing up.
What a piece of shit. God damn. Soup and correspondence. Oh, what a legend. So,
towards the start of the episode, first of all, the directing in this show is just nothing. It's just whatever.
It's just the same. Yeah.
It's just shots of characters. It's what it needs to be. There's no sense of drama, no sense of pacing, no sense of flair. But there's one moment that they tried to do something kind of visual, and it was just baffling. It's at the start of the episode when he meets the sister. There's this moment where the camera pans out and it's just the two of them, and then there's all these like colored houses
floating
by. They're in like a white void, and there's a bunch of little houses, and then he says, "That's the last I saw of my sister," and it shows a door closing over that scene.
Yeah.
Which, the door closing bit, I get that. Okay, yeah, she closed herself off. Cool. That's a funny, little directing trick. But what the hell was the deal with all the houses? Like, what did that symbolize? What did that mean? Like...
maybe
couldn't they have thought of something that made sense for this to communicate seeing each other for the first time?
Okay, I'm with you on that. But a house represents a family. They have just become a family. There are other families out there, and this is theirs. And
I guess, but it's just like a bunch of it represented to me a neighborhood.
Yeah,
like I was thinking, is the neighborhood they live in gonna be important? But that obviously wasn't the case.
No, not at all.
It was just like, this was not well thought out, is what I'm getting at. They just went with whatever.
I know
the first thing that came to mind.
I know a well-directed scene when I see it, one that has meaning and is trying to convey something, and this was not one of them. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to convey. Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, and this is going to be somewhat contentious.
Oh boy.
Because I'll say first and foremost that I love the character designer Hiro Kanzaki. He was the original character designer of Ore no Imoto. He did Classroom Crisis, and he's both the original illustrator and the anime adaptation character designer for this show. And I thought so when I saw like pictures floating around. But while I think that this show does look like his character designs, it also is just totally the A1 fucking face. It is that face. It is, like, as soon as I saw the main character, I thought, oh, it's Ayato from fucking Asterisk War. Like,
yeah,
immediately. I promise you, if I took his hair, like if I just showed you the face with just the eyes and the mouth and no hair, and I said, which A1 Pictures show is this from? You'd have no fucking idea, unless you memorize the eye colors of all the male characters, which is usually black.
I would never argue with that.
Or dark, deep blue. So, yeah, like, he looks exactly the fucking same, and I know that people always, like, whenever I bring up the A1 face thing, I mean, a lot of people agree with me about it, but those who disagree will say, like, well, there's, they're different character designers, there's subtleties, there's differences, like, it's not exactly the same, but I fucking challenge you to look at this next to Nanana's Buried Treasure's main character, and fucking... again, Asterisk War, and fucking Kirito from Sword Art Online. Look at all of them, just the face, compare them all, and I dare you to tell me they're not the same fucking face.
I'm comparing them in my mind, this guy versus the Oreimo main character, and I remember, like, this guy has a far rounder, softer kind of face going on than that guy, whose name I can't fucking remember. Oni-chan? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. No, you're right.
Kosuke, I think?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I mean... again, it's not that it doesn't look like Kanzaki Hiro's designs, and like I went and looked at some Mal pictures of Classroom Crisis, which is not from A1 Pictures, and the faces do look pretty much the same, but at the same time, it looks exactly like the other A1 shows, and yeah, I don't remember Oreimo feeling that way. Like, I don't remember watching, at least the first season, because the second season was A1 Pictures.
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling like... it looked like everything else. Because, again, I really like this character designer. I think his designs are fairly distinctive, and especially the way he draws faces, which is very particular. He draws, like, one face, on every character. And, but I like that face.
It felt like a little bit. It felt like a little bit of the soul of Oreimo had. It was like that, but the soul had been drained out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oreimo felt like the thing about Oreimo was that, for whatever you may feel about the plot and characters, that show felt very cared about. Like, they put a lot of effort into it. It felt like a real fucking show.
Especially season 1, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it had pretty nice animation, lots of attention to detail in the backgrounds. It had like the different ending themes and stuff, lots of little intricacies that made it feel alive. And this show feels dead. This show feels assembly line as fuck.
I felt myself reaching for things to relate to or care about the character. Like, oh wow, the main character really works hard on his light novels. He's such a hard worker. All right. Yeah. I'm interested in that for about 1 minute, and that is not going to carry this fucking show.
It took me a long time through the episode to figure out what the main character was supposed to be like, because
I
at
still
the very
don't know
beginning,
what he's supposed to be like.
I think I have a grasp on it now, and I'll let you in on it.
Oh, good.
But at the very beginning, he's like speaking in this very soft voice, and he's like this. And I was like, oh, he's like a wimpy guy. It's the first impression I have. Right. And then we see him cooking, and I was like, well, maybe he's like a motherly guy. Like he's wimpy, but in an endearing, motherly way. But then when he's watching the live stream and she's about to accidentally undress herself, he goes into full...
He goes batshit insane, yeah.
Yeah, he goes light novelist protagonist guy mode and just starts screaming and running around and banging on doors. And I was like, well, this is totally not
that was a hard left
guy.
Turn right there.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, now he's just a generic light novel protagonist. But then we find out he's like insanely hardworking. So I think what they're going for with this guy is that he's trying to be like a really responsible guy. He's trying to take care of his sister, basically. You know, he's supposed to be someone who works really hard and does all the cooking and cleaning and does everything because he's trying to be the perfect older brother because, you know, his sister's been trapped in her room.
And yeah, I mean, and that makes perfect sense considering, and I mean, I give them credit for this. Like, the parents just died, and like or it seems like they're both dead. And when I was first watching, like, I immediately hated this guy intensely for being a disgusting piece of shit enabler who is just, you know, anyone who allows their like, anyone who has a NEET in their life that they're enabling should kill themselves. And then the NEET will either have to, you know, get good or die. And then either way, we win.
The ultimate way to help them is to kill yourself.
That's right. Yeah. But you know, like there was the additional layer added to it that like, then we find out, okay, the parents are dead. And there's like been emotional trauma. So like, I get why he would want to like protect her and help her. 'Cause obviously what they're going to get to is that like she's a NEET because her mom died and she can't do anything, and you know her whole world got turned upside down. So like he took over protecting her, and he's had to be the parent since they're gone. And so like I see what they're doing. Like that's why she's a NEET. There is an explanation for why he would be such a disgusting piece of shit enabler. But I would argue that time has passed and it's time to grow up. And it's been a year, so you know, time to. Yeah. At this point, he is only hurting her by enabling her this way.
So, how much does this author look? Okay, I'm not one to talk about this because I'm a gonzo journalist. You know, I write about myself. I write about what's going on in my life. But this dude, this light novel author, is writing a story about a pair of light novel authors. After he had just like Oreimo already she was writing a light novel. Like, is this all this guy knows is writing light novels? Like he can't think of anything outside of what he actually does to write about?
Well, you know, I want to give the guy some credit for writing anything at all as opposed to nothing. So that's way to go, dude. You wrote a book. Congrats. Sure. Maybe, man. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? Or maybe he's just, you know, like I mean, this is obviously a product of Oreimo did well, let's do it again. And here we are. You know, that's so.
Or I have no other interests or things to talk about other than this. You know?
I would want to know a little bit more of his backstory. Does he have a spine? Would he just chase that purple dragon again? You know, the Oreimo money all day. Yeah. The answer appears to be yes, but who knows?
Here's the thing, though. Light novel authors do not lead interesting lives.
They do in anime. Everyone has an interesting life in anime.
They don't. Like, a story, when I first heard, I've heard of this light novel since a few years ago, because it started publishing, you know, a few years back. And my first thought was, well, what the hell is it going to be about? You can't make it a story about light novel authors, because all they do is work. All they do is write fucking stories. What could they possibly have to do? Like, it's one thing if it's like Bakuman, where it's about, you know, moving up through the ranks of
this
the
is going to be the next
industry.
Bakuman, dude. This is the one I've been waiting for.
Or Shirobako, where they work in a complex industry with lots of moving parts. If you're a light novel author, you just sit around and write fucking shitty books all day, every day. That's your job, you know? So, like, what plot could they possibly infuse this show with?
That they're in high school. That they go to school. That's it.
The girl doesn't even go to school.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wacky, dude? Holy shit! Have you heard about this premise?
I gotta skip forward in my notes to get to that, because that pissed me off, and it's only pissed me off even more now that I've remembered that she is not going to school. Because I was just like, why the fuck is he still in school? Like, this is a man who is a successful light novel author. He does work constantly. By the way, way too much work that any high schooler could ever do.
I thought that
like
too,
when
yeah.
He shows up to the office with like 10 full manuscripts, one of which is an actual episode script.
Dude, he had written,
like,
let me just say that he had written so he went to that this was interesting. Though obviously way too much for any actual. He is in his first year of high school right now. He had written 2 separate novel ideas, light novel ideas. He had already written 3 volumes for each, just to present as ideas of which one they wanted to go with. So one would go in the trash, and the other would be used, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just crossed out the wrong note on my notes.
Great.
I don't know what the other one said.
Probably something gay anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, yeah, he is a Superman. This is an unreasonable amount of work he's able to do.
It's just like, I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I was, writing an anime blog pretty prolifically. Mm-hmm. I would write during class. I would write, after school and everything. But even at the rate I was going, there's no way I could have churned out, like, even if blog posts, I could not have churned out that much content with the amount of time I had. Mm-hmm. And that's not even creative writing. Yeah, and like, I wanted to drop out badly, This guy is trying to take care of his sister. He's trying to, like, do this as a profession so he can take care of her. Mm-hmm. And, like, here's the thing. I know what the comments are going to be about this, which is that it's Japan, it's different, they don't drop out that easily, school's very important, and I get that. I've seen plenty of anime where characters do drop out because of circumstances exactly
that
like
seems
this.
More common in anime than in American media.
Yeah. I've seen plenty of examples of characters saying, like, I have to take care
Tenchi of... dropped out way back in the day.
Lots of them do.
Yeah.
And I understand that, like, if he can manage it, then sure. But the fact that he can manage it makes him a totally unbelievable character. Yeah, like, there's no fucking way he's churning out all this work and going to high school and taking care of his little sister, Like, it's just too much. And the fact that she's not even going to school doubly makes it like, well, what? Unless we're about to find out that she is somehow going to school and he hasn't seen her in a year.
Dude, she's got that University of Phoenix degree on the way, dog.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, just seriously, like, why is he in school? Like, is it even going to be relevant that he's in school? Like,
yeah, because that's where the other cute girls are. Because that's where the other cute girls are.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. That's the only reason, is that there has to be other cute girls in the story. Mm-hmm. But in the post-credit scene, a girl shows up asking for his sister.
Right.
A schoolgirl shows up asking for his sister. So I'm wondering...
That's the Ayase of the series.
Who is this girl? How does she know the sister? And why her? I guess that's just what he's into, man. This author just likes he wants sisters and he wants their friends. That's what he wants.
That's the dream. I mean, every brother of a sister wants a sister's friends.
Have you ever read the Dojin Going Bareback and Coming Inside of My Sister and Her Friend?
Not that one specifically.
It's just
I like the cut of its jib though. Good title. Good title. Have you ever read...
it's a classic Oreimo Dojin.
Have you ever read Oops, I Got Trapped on the Lolly Train? That's a personal favorite of mine.
No, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, highly recommended. Check it out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the high school thing is totally unbelievable in a real context, and I think a lot of people will say, it's anime, but it is there simply to get more characters into the plot for this guy to fuck, potentially. But that speaks to this whole show. Like you were saying, this show has very little in the way of an intelligible message. Like there are some tangible elements here, like the parent death, the neat sister, the light novel thing, and their spooky relationship that turned out to be that they work together, the brother and sister.
Yeah.
But it is none of that matters, because what we're here for are the shots of the ass of the sister. And those
what ass?
Well, they present it whether or not it's present, and that I noticed A1. I noticed when she leaned over and you could see all the way down her shirt. I noticed that shot. That was nice.
Well, all right,
well done.
But I don't think it's about looking at her ass. It's her legs. She does have great legs. I'm a fan. You know, I like these little stick lolly girls, these little tiny, barely existent, and you know, the appeal is the extreme curvature of the legs. That there's just so much curve there for such tiny leg. You know,
are you more into the front or the back of the leg, like the muscly side or the straight bony side? I gotta say, I'm a muscly side.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's like it's not about the thickness of the legs. It's about the curvature of the legs. You know, and they did a good job with the curvature. And I noticed there was just lots of leg shots.
My nigga into them bow-legged bitches, if you know what I'm saying.
But I mean, I require at least some semblance of an ass, which this girl does not have.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so whatever there. By the way, this girl. Oh, first of all, I mean, this is in the premise of the show, so I could have probably figured this out regardless. But when he's like, and no one knows who Eromanga-sensei is, where you just immediately like, well, that's obviously your sister.
Of course.
There's no drama in this reveal that's gonna happen. Like,
I figured out.
Granted, most people probably know from the premise alone.
And I also figured out like I can already tell is going to be like the big reveal at the end of the season, which was that you know, like he got. One of the things that he tells his sister when they're having their big emotional conversation is like, oh, when I you know, whatever, when I first started out, like I got my first piece of fan art, like someone said they loved my work, and I could immediately tell from her reaction, it's obviously her. We're done. Yeah. We're done here. Yeah.
How many episodes do you think it'll be? You think it'll be the whole season before we find that out?
I think the show has so little going on that I'm going to call that the last episode, and that's going to be the last episode.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
I've had some shows where I figure it out and then it actually happens right afterwards and I go, oh, all right.
Yeah,
well,
I like it when that happens. That makes me happy. You know, but
I
do not think there's enough going on here. I mean, maybe it'll be like episode 6. It's one of those two, episode 6 or episode 12.
So, were you also pissed off that this girl is so cute that she can just take pictures of herself to use for her erotic drawings?
Well,
she's literally just referencing her own body.
I know what you're saying, but I happen to know several artists, Ben Saint, of course, and other people who I know. You know, Cece has talked to me about this. It is a pretty common practice, actually, to take pictures of yourself and use them for modeling, in general. So really,
Ben Saint neither is nor draws cute girls, but I'll give you CC at least.
The idea is the anatomy. She was trying to capture the anatomy. I think that this, like, she happens to be an anime girl, therefore a 10 out of 10 flawless, human being.
That's what made it so funny to me, is that she's drawing these, like, sexy pictures of cute anime girls, and all she has to do is just trace herself, because she is a sexy, flawless anime girl.
That's not canon, though, that she's literally a 10 out of 10 perfect human, right?
That is definitely canon. That is diegetic.
I guess that's true. Since she's the main girl, then yeah, okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Also, you know what? I'm just going to put it out there. I thought this girl was not that cute. And I'm judging by, like, a lolicon standards. I like her little bows. It's all about, like, the hair, because the body's always going to be perfect. And I found her little bow things unimpressive at best. Unimpressive. Was not impressed with the style of this lolly.
I like her hair color. Her outfit, I like her pants. I like the little frilly, fluffy pants. I like the frilly pants.
Me too.
I think, because the main images I've seen of this over the years from the manga is her in more of like a jacket, and I do like that jacket look. Like, if you look at the pictures, if you just search Eromanga-sensei, you'll see her mostly in this, like, green jacket, and it's more of a, like, oversized clothes kind of thing. Like, she's tiny, but her clothes are big. That's kind of adorable.
That sounds better than what we're getting in this episode. I mean, she was wearing that for a bit. Yeah, when she was streaming and shit. Yeah, I like that. I like that better. If she'd worn that more, I would have been more positive.
Yeah, like, I mean, aside from the fact that they drew her legs pretty well, I wouldn't say she was super cute. And they kept having moments where they'd have the fetishistic close-up, but it always came off as so forced to me because the artwork's not that consistent. Like, the characters only look really attractive when they go in for the attractive shot.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
There'll be a shot of her legs where suddenly they're way more detailed and they've got, like, the rosy pink knee caps and everything, and then they'll have shots of her lips where she suddenly has, like, full lips, you know, with, like, the little pink lipsticky look to them. And in those shots, you're like, okay, why does she only look like this once every few minutes? You know, why is it that most of the time she just looks like a generic blob, you know? And then like it just kind of distracted me. Like I didn't find it sexy because I'm thinking, why isn't she always like this?
Well, that's where the show truly feels like cheap. You know, where like I get what they're doing. Like they're just putting in the bait. They're not making something that's consistently quality. I felt like that was, as opposed to someone like lovingly creating an anime to, you know, bring their vision to life. You know, that's them going for the sex appeal at, you know, these opportune moments. And, you know, that's fine, but I'm just not impressed by it.
No, not at all. God, what the fuck does this say? God moe too much? What the fuck?
Too moe?
You know too much? God. What the fuck does my note say?
Here, let me, while you try to decipher that, I'd just like to point out the worst scene in the episode by far for me, because it was the most outright obnoxious. It was around like the 16-minute mark, and it's when more than any time in my fucking life, I felt when that music kicked in, like it is action comedy scene time.
Oh,
it's like boom, 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 down. Oh, Onicha, you're such a fucking baka. What are you doing? Oh no, you allowed me, and you're Eromanga-sensei. I don't know anyone by that name. Like the strain in my heart as it tried to make me amused with this fucking scene was traumatic.
When that music kicked in, I literally like threw up my hand and went, "There it is!" Like out loud. There he is. You know,
there he is.
Instantly. Yeah,
that was horrific. It was a nightmare.
All right, I can understand this note now. It says gap moe too much, because what they're trying to go for with this girl is a gap moe, which is where she in person is super quiet and cutesy and demure, and then on the internet she's like a bubbly, porn drawing, you know, fun character. And it's too much. Like the way she acts in real life is just too like cloyingly adorable. Like the thing is that she's supposed to be this like hikikomori who won't talk to him, but it doesn't come off as like she's damaged. It comes off as she's ludicrously adorable. You know,
I mean, she's Suicide Squad a few times, but she's not fully damaged yet. You need a couple more viewings.
She comes off more like a Yamato Nadeshiko than like a hikikomori. You know?
Yeah.
Like, she just seems like she's being extremely polite and shy, not like she's, you know, incapable of speaking to someone, because it just keeps, like, instead of showing her, like, refusal to talk to him as being, like, kind of troubling, it's just trying to make it look cute. Like, she keeps darting her eyes back and forth and blushing, and it's just like, what are you doing here? You're just making this girl into, like, oh, yeah, she's perfect, great, you know, and then, oh, but that's not her real personality, or is it? Which one? I don't know.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's so true. Yeah. So you and I are both big fans of, God damn it, what's the otaku show? Not the otaku, the fucking NEET show. Welcome to the NHK. We are both big fans of Welcome to the NHK. And to someone who
I'm
has...
gonna get into that.
Yeah. To someone who's seen Welcome to the NHK, this feels downright offensive at a certain level, because it is sort of sexualizing and not I wouldn't say glorifying, but like diminishing the horrific nature of what it means to be a NEET. It is not pleasant. No one likes that. It is horrific. This girl is way too upbeat and happy to have spent a year in isolation. No one spends a year alone and after their parents just died and comes out, you know, like this. Like, there are moments that, like, oh, she's sad. She's sad inside. She's kind of sad that her parents fucking died and she's been alone for an entire fucking year. Oh, but she's got her drawings. Oh, she's got her drawings, and that keeps her going. I don't fucking buy it. I don't buy it, and
Dude,
this is shitty shit.
I'm gonna have to cut a promo here, man.
All right.
This was the part of the episode where all my notes became in all caps and taking up huge swaths of page. So, okay, the second that they showed the first hint of her in the episode, where it showed her, like, at a computer in a dark room and you could see stuffed animals, my first thought was, as soon as I see that room, I know it's going to be too clean.
Damn right.
It's going to be way too clean. Right. Because they go in there and it just looks like a girl's room. It just looks like a generic... He even says,
this place is clean as fuck, nigga. Fuck yeah. She's like...
How? Yeah. How is her room clean? like, even assuming that she has no trash, she only uses dishes that he brings up there, you know, like, is that the case? And does she always lay them back? How does she get the dishes back to it? What does she do? What is she doing to manage this room? Yeah. Does he pass her trash bags every so often and she wraps her stuff out and throws it out the door? Like, where is she having the ability to keep this room so fucking clean? How is she wiping stuff down? Does she have, because she, first of all, doesn't seem to have a bathroom in her room. So if he hasn't seen her in a fucking year, he's never seen her walk to the bathroom.
I wondered about that too. I wondered about that same issue.
They live right across the hall from each other. Yeah. He couldn't maybe hear her door opening because she's going to the bathroom and just sneak a glimpse, you know? Because there's no way, like... Is she only peeing in the dead of night when he's not there to see? And, like, how could she hold it in for that long? Now, look.
Her piss bottles, she's got the piss bottle system down.
But where are the piss bottles?
Buried under the floorboards. I don't know.
One of my best friends in high school was a hikikomori, and he did have an era where they were literally, his parents were leaving meals at his door, and he was actually, like, you know, he'd listen to his surroundings until nobody was there before he'd go to the bathroom. Yep, but obviously he couldn't always get away with that, so he had piss bottles. He would just piss in bottles and store them in his fucking closet. And because you can't get rid of them. What are you gonna put that out for your parents to take to the trash? No, you can't, you know. And his room was fucking filthy because if he had, let's say, food that came in a wrapper, which seems pretty likely that this girl has had some of that, then, you know, the wrappers are going to accumulate in your room. Her room is fucking spotless and perfect. It does not look like a room that someone has been living in and not leaving for a fucking year. My room gets fucked up in 2 days. I've got, like, beer cans and Mountain Dew bottles and fucking coffees and, like, 2 different takeout boxes stacked on top of each other from 2 days ago. Like,
you
know, I can't even.
The show wants to have its cake and eat it too. For some reason it thinks that it is like its moe point is like neat now. Like whenever there's a new like ideological concept, Japan seems to want to make an anime about cute girls in relation to that thing. This is the cute girls in relation to neats, and they have sacrificed.
Like she's the first cute, neat hikikomori.
It is A1. This is like my.
There's just nothing to it. Like if you watch Sayonara Zetsubo-sensei,
I was just gonna say fucking Komori Kiri is first of all a 10 out of 10 waifu. Second of all, a far better portrayal of a hikikomori than this girl. And that was a fucking joke.
She's like kind of implied to be like deranged and damaged and psychotic. She's super fucking hot.
She sure is.
But here's the thing. Kiri Komori had like long hair that's in front of her eyes that you can imagine, you can project, because you know the show it's anime. It's a visual representation of the idea of a human. Mm-hmm. You're not going to draw them with like nappy hair and fucked up, you know, looking and everything. Yeah. But you can imagine that Kiri Komori was that. Like, it's not hard to believe that she is kind of, like, probably be gross and smelly in real life.
Absolutely.
This girl's, like, perfectly well kept, you know? She's got this long, flowing, beautiful white hair, pure and unstained. She's gorgeous. Yep. She's got all this nicely made clothes. Who does her laundry? Does the brother do the laundry? Does she let him touch her panties? That seems unlikely.
Oh, boy.
You know? How does she shower? He doesn't see her go into the bathroom to shower. He doesn't hear her showering and think, oh, I'll see what my sister's fucking doing when she, you know, gets out of the shower. She doesn't.
This show does not. This show does
Why
not,
is she so clean and cute?
This show does not deign to come down to these base level issues that you're talking about now. The second I saw this character and did not see stank lines around her, that's when I knew. Yeah. This was a 9 out of 10 at best.
Like, I know that people would probably say, but it's just a cute girl show, you know?
Of course,
but like,
that's what they say.
If the whole concept is gonna be that she's a hikikomori, fucking do something with it. Like, This is just a little sister show. Like, the fact that she's a hikikomori just has nothing to do with it. It's totally irrelevant. And in fact, it was probably just a setup so that we could have this idea that they've been working together for a year,
of course,
and didn't know about it. You know, like, they could have pulled this off without it having to be this extreme, but of course this is what had to be done. And the actual fact of her being a hikikomori, totally irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Fuck it. You know.
Yep.
And then the other thing is her personality, because in person she acts very coy and shy, and she has a hard time talking. She has to put on a headset connected to an amp or whatever to make it so she's more audible, which is kind of clever, I guess. It's stupid, mind that. But it's funny. But her personality online is like a bubbly, upbeat, charismatic internet personality. And, like, that's not what hikikomoris are like when they go online. You know, I know there's this stereotype of, like, people have a different personality online than off, but, like, she's a legitimately charismatic, fun streamer. That's not the kind of people who are hikikomoris are the ones who more likely spend all their time on 4chan being anonymous. You know,
that's
like
right.
My friend who was a hikikomori was super paranoid about anyone knowing anything about him online. He wanted no one to ever see pictures of him, to know his name. He didn't even keep a consistent username. You know, he'd go through proxies and stuff like that. Like, that's because hikikomori is a state of paranoia about other people. You know, it's not just cooping yourself in your room because you're sad about something. It's that you cannot face the world. You don't want, like, you're afraid of human interaction.
Okay, hang on.
And it's like they
are we maybe misinterpreting things? Is it possible that we're reading too much into this whole NEET thing, and we're drawing, you know, our experiences from things like Welcome to the NHK and your, you know, your experiences in your life? Maybe we should be thinking of this as just a sad girl trapped in her room. Is that, do you think?
I mean, when he says to her, like, why didn't you come out all this time? She's like, I feel like I'd lose if I came out, you know?
Yeah.
Which, like, it's just such a glib and, like, oh, so I guess it doesn't matter. You know, it's the, like, that's basically what it was. There was no reason. There's no reason.
She
that
smiled
as
she said that. She is not
I just felt like it.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know, well,
that's what
I'm clearly over my emotional issues, but I'm not gonna.
The show is making so light of the issues, and, like, I get it, like, sure, make light of it, I guess, but I'm not gonna take it seriously.
Just
obviously.
What's the point? What's the point of having it in there at all if you're not gonna do anything with it? If we're not supposed to believe that she's really a hikikomori, then why make her a hikikomori?
You know what the point of it is? The point of it is it's a trope that the writer was able to use to, you know, inspire his story. He just was like, okay, neat, got it. Let's go from there. And that's what he did.
Yeah. I was trying to read this note, but it actually is just UGG with, like, 8 U's and 3 H's, and I couldn't tell.
I've got a couple of those.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, that's the main thing that bothered me throughout this episode, is the whole idea of her simultaneously acting like this super sheepish, won't even talk to her brother person in real life, and then she gets on stream, and just with the addition of a little mask, she's suddenly, like, this bubbly, energetic, willing to say all kinds of stuff about her job, like sharing all this kind of you know, confidential information, not even paranoid enough to remember to turn her camera off before taking off her clothes. Like,
that was a goof.
You know, it's just, again, having your cake, eating it too.
Well, you know what? Right. There is a phenomenon of, like, the empowerment of anonymity, and I know she's basically like on the razor's edge of, like, revealing herself. Like, if she fucking knocks her mask off, she's exposed to the whole fucking world. So be careful with that shit. But, like, I can sort of see the sort of power fantasy she might have of, like, showing herself online and, like, not quite revealing who you are. So, like, maybe that emboldens her, and she gets a thrill out of it that sort of unlocks this.
I mean, it's not impossible. I just can't imagine someone of this extreme of a personality in real life doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I would see...
Especially the fact that she talks so quiet, and then she just yells. You know, she's able to be so energetic on stream.
Yeah, she's
That's
just
weird.
suddenly...
That's weird.
Like, even when her brother was, like, like, he's already in your room talking to you. Can't you just start talking normally? Is it just the fact that he's in person? I don't know. Like, I mean, I was myself a kind of, you know, paranoid, a sheepish guy for my high school years. And, like, I was loud and audacious in text online, and that's one thing. But to be a streamer, like, that takes a level of, like, charisma and, like, you basically have to act on a stream the same way you do in front of real people. And you know that people are watching you. Yeah. Like most people who are kind of shy, if you try to get them on a stream, they will fucking, they'll run. You know, like, True. I've had friends who won't show up in videos, who won't be on live streams, who won't show up on camera because they're this kind of person, and they wouldn't do it with a mask, you know, like, to even develop the skills to be able to stream like that, you have to be able to talk to people, you know, like, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast. I would not have been able to podcast like this 10 years ago when I was in high school, you know, like, when I was 15, I wouldn't have been able to do this because I was too shy and I couldn't have talked to another human being this way. You know, it takes building up a social skill to do this. I don't know. I guess because it's the stuff that I do that I see that this makes me so mad that, like, sure. I was a shut-in. I was an internet personality. I do have a job that's exactly like this one that she's doing. Yeah. And so I'm just looking at it and I'm going, this is not what it's like. And you know it. You know it because you also work in this industry, you know?
Okay, you know what? I'll give you all that, and you make a lot of sense there. I would just say, as my only point of defense, I would say that there is a legitimate difference to talking to people online and then having a physical person here. Like in my apartment, if someone just walked in, I mean, okay, it's like if I let them in and was talking to them, like it's a different experience having a person there. You know, and maybe just the fact that she's been alone for so long, and like her parents died and she's been alone, like a physical presence, you know, is uncomfortable for her. For what I can see that being the case for people, you know, right. And so on that basis, like I maybe sort of see what they're getting at, but I'm still unimpressed.
I have this sneaking feeling that by episode 3, the entire idea of her having been a hikikomori shut-in shy person will just have evaporated, and it will never have mattered, you know, until it has to come up for some reason.
Wait a minute, but that's genius, because remember the best episode of NHK, or one of the best episodes of NHK, where that one dude, like, his sister doesn't come back and he almost dies, and that he's forced to leave. He's forced to be to go out and fend for himself, and that his evolution happens almost overnight once he's forced to it. And the same thing happens to her.
It'd be one thing if it was over time. Like my friend who was a hikikomori, eventually he became friends with me. I dragged him out, made him meet other people, and over the course of like 4 or 5 years, he became more of an outgoing guy. You know, he works a normal job. He talks to people now. But like, that's, you know, it's a deep psychological trauma that makes you a fucking hikikomori. Like, people have to understand how extreme of a lifestyle this is.
And this show does not
leaving your room.
Yeah.
Like, try to... If you're someone who thinks of yourself as a shut-in, I just want to ask, do you literally never leave your room? Because there's a difference. There's a difference between leaving just once a day or just going to the bathroom and actually not leaving your room, you know? I think
guess
it's a pretty big gap.
I still think that, I mean, if you only leave your room to go to the bathroom, I'd say that's, and like you avoid the people you live with, like that's pretty bad. Well, and this girl clearly does, but it has none of the actual real life emotional consequences, so why would I even give a fuck? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So how annoyed were you that the show tries to get serious towards the end?
Oh, I mean, I expected it. So, like, I knew it was coming just based on the premise that it was going to go there. So I can't say it really annoyed me more than I was already just not enjoying the show. I was like, okay, right, we're at this point now. Go through it. Were you particularly offended?
Not particularly. It was more like on the back end of it that, like, I realized we were going down this road with these characters who are nothing and mean nothing. Because
that's the episode one. That's the episode 1 thing, right? Like, you get all your seriousness out of the way right now, and we're like, oh, our bond. Like, we're gonna explore this for the next, 8 episodes. I don't like. This does feel like a bit like a drama show because like the parents died. You know, like a little bit more that way. I think
there's going to be hints of this every couple of episodes. Yeah. It's going to have like these serious moments where things get heavy, but I can't accept that from this show because the characters are fucking memes.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Like the sister has like if I actually did buy into her trauma, that would be one thing, but I don't at all. It's such a load of horse shit, you know? Like and the main character is just not interesting. So I feel like I know what kind of serious stuff it's going to try to do, and it's just going to be like, oh, come on.
The show is
you
literally
didn't earn this.
Right. The show is literally too cartoony. Like, the girl's trauma has not impacted her social skills basically at all. Like, the guy is a magical work wizard who's able to do a billion things at once, effortlessly. Like, there's nothing to be taken seriously or learned from characters who can just do anything and never have any kind of problems about it, like never face negative consequences for these things. So like what emotional trauma? That she's totally fine and it wasn't a problem at all, that he's able to do like all this shit that I could only dream of doing in my wildest dreams. I'm not concerned. They'll be fine. These people will be fine.
Yeah, well, one last note I have that was just a minor random detail, but it did weird me out, is the way that the episode ends. Like, the literal last shot before the ending theme is just like random. Like, there's no fade out or like a last shot that means something. It's just kind of like she turns around and goes like, huh, and then it just suddenly the ending theme starts, and I was just like, what? You know, like there was just no attempt to make an ending. It just cuts off at the end.
I'm pulling it up right now. Oh yeah, just pans to her face. And she looks real sad. Like, she looks real sad in that shot. What are we getting at here? What are you trying to teach me, Eromanga-sensei? Like, he leaves. I don't know. I don't know, man.
There's just no sense of timing. Like I could see it. I could see it if it was like a really quick, like if it cuts to her face really fast and then it's a really brief shot and then it kicks in the song. You know, but that would have to be a more dramatic song as opposed to this really happy upbeat.
You know what's even worse about that? It's that happy music kicks in before the transition to the end slate. So like it's still her really traumatic face on screen. We hear this brother and sisters doing
there just was no thought put into how that would transition at all.
That was
they
sloppy,
did not think about it.
Maybe they just timed the music starting wrong. Like some editor just fucked up, and they're like, yeah, whatever, it's fine.
And they couldn't fix it before it went to print.
Yeah,
it's happened to us.
That's true.
But we're low stakes.
Yeah, the stakes are not. We're not anime boys. Yeah,
I mean, I did not have high expectations for this episode. I figured it was going to be middle of the road, but it actually pissed me off more than I expected it to. Mm-hmm. Like, because, again, I don't think Oreimo was a bad show. Like, I mean, arguably as it went along. But, like, what I mean to say is...
Oh, Digi, you and your shit opinions.
I understand hating the characters in Oreimo. I understand hating the plot. I understand hating the writing. But in terms of like
message behind it all, okay, well, another day.
In terms of craft, it was fine.
Sure,
you know?
Right.
Like it was decently put together. It was decently directed. It was not spectacular at anything.
They expertly delivered their horrific, nightmare-inducing plot exactly the way they intended to. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, but this show just felt like a pale shadow of that show. Like, and I mean, the fact that it invites so much comparison really doesn't help, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's 2017, Oreimo came out in 2010, and that show looked better than this one. That show had better directing, better animation, better designs, and felt better, and had more interesting characters. You know, not that they were super interesting from episode 1, but like the fact that the sister in that show was actually like an athletic normie was really different. Like, that's not something we get in a lot of anime, that she would be simultaneously like an otaku, but also she's actually like an outgoing model, you know?
Sure, yeah.
This character is just some whatever, you know? So,
she has very little in the way
impact.
Her character is very, like, it exists only to further this kind of fetish fuel that this show is, and then it does that terribly. It's not well done. So yeah, what are you left with? A whole bunch of shit.
Right. Do you have any more notes about this?
I'm all tapped out for now, buddy. I'll need to recharge my fuel cells next week with the next episode. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we got almost an hour out of this first episode.
Fantastic.
That's pretty impressive. Like, obviously we're not going to get this much out of the next one, but if we can even get fucking a third of this, it'll be enough. You know, this is already this is 3 times the length of the episode we've spent complaining about it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is all the things that go through my mind when I'm watching a show like this. You know, like I've basically just decompressed the thoughts that I have. You know, like what I wrote on the paper is the one sentence version of the storm of emotions I'm feeling, which I have to now reverse engineer and explain in detail here.
How to make a Digibro script. Watch this video. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week we'll probably try to get the episode out a little bit closer to the episode's airing. We were 2 days late-ish on this one, so
okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So tune in next week after you watch Eromanga-sensei, and we'll be here to help you deal with it. You know, we'll help you cope with your addiction to anime.
We're here to begin the healing process, everybody.
Yeah,
So
I
we'll
don't know
then.
why you watch this shit, but
Yeah.
we're gonna make it easier for you.
All right.
I know you watch it. I know you watch it anyways. You don't give a fuck.
They've got too much time on their hands, so
Yeah.
give it to us instead.
So do we. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.